I want to start by talking about these passports. I don't know if you have one of the passports, if you've looked at one of the passports. These are lovely. They are lovely passports. They're so well done. They have little spots in the front to put your name, and they've got pictures of each of our churches and a little history on them, placed in the back for notes, and they're all tied together with like this nice little string. I mean, it's so well done. And then the stamps have, like, they're just well chosen Catholic iconography. It's clear what it is. It's clear why the stamp is associated with the church. I mean, these are really, really good. And the best part about them is that I had absolutely nothing to do with them. Like, from my perspective, they basically just kind of happened. I know this is a PFAC initiative, and I know I was at a meeting where they're like, we're going to do passports. And I was like, fine, whatever, let's talk about something else. And then they do the passports, and everybody loves them. And everybody's coming up to me and saying, oh, Father, these are so good. I'm so glad you did them. I'm like, well, it wasn't me. It was these folks over here. They're lovely. I give that to you it'll come up again later, but as a way of entering into one of the interesting tensions that we have in our gospel. In our gospel, the apostles identify a need. They say, we have all of these people in this deserted place, and they can't eat. There's not enough food. What are we going to do? They've correctly identified the need. They know what is necessary. They know they're about to have a very hangry crowd on their hands, and 5,000 hangry people is not a recipe for success. So they come up with the best solution they can. They go to the Lord and they say, look, Lord, these people can't eat. The only way they're going to be able to eat is if you send them away. So, send them away to the nearest village. And Jesus, he says that's not necessary. We're not going to send them away. We're not going to not meet their need. They have a need. We're going to meet that need. But then he says something that is just insane, as the Lord will sometimes do. He says, give them some food yourselves. And if I were one of the apostles, I'd be looking around like, okay, well, so 1, 2, 3, there are 12 of us, and there's 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 of them. I don't understand what he means, give them some food yourself. Like that wouldn't register. I wouldn't understand what he said. But the Lord is saying, we're not going to send them away. We're going to meet their need, and you guys go do it. And they're like, all right, Lord, sure. We've got 5 loaves and 2 fish. So what do you want us to do with this? And he says, okay, that's enough. He blesses it. He multiplies it. And then, no, the Lord himself isn't the one who gives them the food. He still asks the apostles to go give the food. He gives it to them, and then they're the ones who then give it to the 5,000. What the Lord is doing here is he's preparing the apostles for ministry in the church. We Catholics are very clear on this fact. Jesus intended to start a church. It wasn't just he picked 12 people, those 12 people were supposed to preach and die, and that was it. Jesus was setting up the full future of humanity. He was teaching these apostles how to run the church, how to create this institution that we are still members of today. So part of it here is he's teaching them to participate in his ministry. He's inviting them into his ministry. They go to him and they say, Lord, there's a need. You go do something about it. You send the crowds off. You just deal with this. And Jesus says, no. You can be part of the solution. And he invites them, give them food yourself. They don't know how. Then he's like, all right, bring me what you've got. I'll deal with this, but you're still part of the solution. It's still the apostles who bring the food to the people. Give them some food yourself. They have to bring it to Jesus. They have to bring him what they've got. But they're still the ones taking care of people and doing the work. Blessed by, encouraged by, and multiplied by the Lord. This is a dynamic that is true for all of us in the church today. The Second Vatican Council, Lumen Gentium, one of the things that it deeply emphasized, or re-emphasized, was the role of the baptized in the mission of the church. It was easy in a certain era of Catholicism to think everything in the church is done by the priest, and if it's not by the priest, it's by the religious sisters. All the schools were full of religious sisters. We had so many priests at our parishes. The priest was doing First Communion classes and was the youth minister and was doing OCIA, and it was just priests and nuns. Vatican Council said that's not how the church is supposed to be. It's supposed to be the baptized. They're supposed to participate in the mission of the church. In fact, the mission of the church is given first to the baptized, and then the priests and the nuns are given a specific role for the baptized. But the mission, the overall mission, is everybody's. So, the Lord is inviting all of us into his ministry. He's looking at all of us every time we bring him a need, and he's saying, give them some food yourself. And then we're saying, you're insane, I have nothing to give them. And then he's like, okay, fine, I'll work with you. Let's negotiate, let's work it out. But he wants us to participate in his ministry. There's another story I remember from a homily when I was growing up, and it's so helpful, and I think I heard this homily when I was like 11, so clearly I had a good priest. There's a guy who's just down on his luck, and he's about to lose the house, and financially he's just a wreck, and he's like, Lord, the only way out of this is for me to win the lottery. And he does a novena, he does 9 novenas, he does a novena of novenas to try to win this lottery because it's the only way out of his hole. And the lottery day comes, and he's like, I've done everything I can, I've gone to the Lord over and over again, like, this is it, this is when I get out of this hole. And the lottery day comes, and he doesn't win, and he's devastated. He goes to the Lord one last time, he's angry, he's sad, he's disappointed. Lord, why did you not listen to my prayer? And the Lord is like, well, you have to buy a ticket. We have to do our part when we participate in the ministry of the Lord. He does the work with what we bring him. We might bring him 5 loaves and 2 fish and think he can do nothing with this, but he multiplies it and he feeds 5,000. And so let me invite you, on behalf of the Lord Jesus, into his mission and into his ministry with whatever you have. Maybe all you have is a printer, some green paper, and some string. Maybe that's it. But he multiplies it. He brings success from it. The Lord loves you, and he loves me, and he loves all of our neighbors and all of our families. He wants to take care of us. We see in the gospel, again, he's mourning the death of his cousin and his forerunner. He's mourning the death of John the Baptist. He gets to this deserted place where he's hoping to just have a retreat and to pray, and there are 5,000 people waiting for him, and he doesn't react like I would, which is turn around and run away. He has pity for the crowd. He loves you because he sees your needs and he wants to meet those needs. But he wants to do it with you as co-workers, taking whatever you bring him and bringing it to him so he can multiply it and then bless people through it. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what your bread and loaves are. I don't know what you're bringing to the Lord, but I promise you, whatever it is, he is going to multiply it and bless it. I'll emphasize once again, 1.25% of Whatcom County goes to Catholic Mass on Sunday, meaning 98.75% of Whatcom County does not know the grace of the sacraments or the salvation of Jesus. So, maybe what you can do, what you're good at, is hosting. You're just really good at hosting. Whether you cook the dinner or whether you buy the dinner, but you're just really good at hosting. And you might say, you know what? This is my bread and fishes. This is what I got. So I'm just going to invite my block, my neighbors, to dinner. Once a month, once every other month. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create community. It's not even necessarily originally Christian community, but I'm going to create community. I'm going to show them an example of Christian hospitality. That's what I'm going to do. Ask yourself, do you believe that the Lord is going to multiply and bless that effort? I do. If you do it in his name, for his glory, I believe he's going to multiply it, and he's going to use whatever you're offering him to bless the people around you. Maybe you, like me, find incredible joy in Excel spreadsheets. Maybe that's your jam. Of course, the highlight of my priesthood is celebrating the sacraments and serving you, but in my administrative time, it's a really good day when I get to work in Excel. Maybe that's your gift. I don't know. I don't know how the Lord's going to bless and use that. I can't even give you an example necessarily, although I have 1 or 2 projects in the office that could use some Excel help, so, you're not excluded from this. But figure out what you can offer to the Lord. And if it's that, ask Him, Lord, how are you going to bless this? What are you going to do with my 5 loaves and 2 fish? What are you going to do with the fact that I'm just good with a spreadsheet? Maybe He'll give you an answer. Maybe the answer is, call the parish office. Send Father Moore an email and wait a month. Eventually get an answer. Okay. Figure out what you've got. Offer it to the Lord. See what He does. Now, when I make this invitation to people, a lot of times they will talk about their insufficiencies. I might, for example, invite people, we need more Bible studies. I would love if every single member of our parishes was in a small faith-sharing group. I think we would be so much stronger if that were true, and we need a lot of leaders to do that. So I'll invite people to that and be like, Father, that's not me. I'm not a leader. I don't know the Bible. I don't even think my faith is very strong. Okay. Well, let me give you the words of St. Paul. What will separate us from the love of Christ? Will anguish or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or the sword? Those are terrible things. Persecution, famine, not being able to eat, being chased with the sword, or nakedness, not being able to be clothed. Those are terrible things. None of those can separate us from the love of Christ. So then I would challenge you, all right, what's the worst that could happen if you tried to do something? If you noticed a need in the church or outside of the church and you worked on that. You notice that people don't have community, you try to create community. You notice people don't have a prayer group, you try to create a prayer group. You notice there's administrative needs, you try to help with those needs. What's the worst that can possibly happen? You offer somebody the gospel, maybe you lose a friend. Maybe they're offended that you would ever try to talk to them about Jesus. Okay, that's not fun. But that's kind of the worst that's going to happen. Or maybe you try to host something and nobody shows up. Or maybe you attempt something and it goes poorly and you're embarrassed. Or maybe, and I've been preaching this gospel to my staff for a while, we in the office always try to find a way to say yes first. We try to let our parishioners act first. If the Holy Spirit's prompted you to do something, we're going to try to let you do it. And then, if it goes poorly, we're going to clean it up on the back end. So maybe the worst that can happen is your priest has to go to you and say, hey, thanks for trying, but this didn't go well. Or the priest has to say, thanks for trying. That's opposite of what the Catechism says, so we're going to shut this down and maybe reorient toward a more Catholic perspective. That's not fun. It's not fun for me. It's not fun for you. But it's the worst that could happen. And so I'd ask you, what can separate you from the love of Christ? Embarrassment? Lack of success? The need for correction? Losing a friend? Will any of those things separate you from the love of Christ? And is there anything more important in your life than the love of Christ? The desire of your soul, the purpose for your life. If none of those things can separate you from the love of Christ, then what is the barrier to action? What is preventing you from receiving the invitation of the Lord to join Him in His ministry? What's preventing you from seeing a need, taking your bread and loaves, bread and fishes, putting them in front of the Lord and saying, Lord, this is what I got. I'm going to do something with it. Please bless and multiply. What's keeping you from doing that? Nothing. Because nothing can separate you from the love of Christ. You are so free to fail as a Christian. Because even in your failure, you will find the victory and success of Jesus Christ. And if you are free to fail as a Christian, that means you are even more free to succeed. Because if you lose the fear of failure and you bring your modest offering to the Lord and you trust that He loves you and He loves the people you're trying to serve and you trust that He's going to multiply and bless what you bring Him, then you generally assume that you're going to succeed. That is a fair assumption as a Christian, that the Lord is going to bless you. That should be your default. And I promise you that it is. Again, I will serve you with everything that I have. I'm bringing my loaves and fishes to the Lord every day and hoping that it has some sort of success in our community. But if you're good at crafts, you can do something like this. You don't even need my permission. Hey, it's nice if you ask to make sure it's not weird, but if I don't give you an email in a month, just do it. Just do it. Act for the Lord. Invite him in. Accept his invitation. See what happens. There's a success in my hand of what happens. Trust that the Lord loves you. Trust that there is nothing that can separate you from the love of God. Bring what you've got to the Lord. Allow him to multiply it. And watch the grace unfold before you.